children. He found his soulmate in his second wife, actress Nancy Davis. The couple married in 1952 and had 2 children. Around this time, Reagan's political leanings began moving to the right. He became president of the Screen Actors Guild, but cooperated with efforts to fight communist influences in the movie industry as the Red Scare gripped Hollywood. Reagan became a Republican, and in 1966 he ran for governor of California and won. Gaining a national profile, he battled student demonstrators and was re-elected overwhelmingly in 1970. Reagan first ran for president, though not very seriously, in 1968. A second bid for the GOP nomination, this time against Republican incumbent Gerald Ford in 1976, also failed, but the third time was the charm.
The man who is asking for 4 more years is incompetent to do the job.
Capitalizing on runaway inflation and the Iran hostage crisis, Reagan trounced Democrat Jimmy Carter in 1980. Voters were taken with the 69-year-old's charm and television savvy. He mastered the soundbite and was dubbed the great communicator.
Government, the people said, was not our master. It is our servant.
That was Reagan's mantra for his 8 years in office. He slashed spending on social programs, dismantling the pillars of the Great Society while boosting military spending to record peacetime levels and cutting taxes all at the same time. But it almost ended before it really began. Just 3 months into his first term, a drifter named John Hinckley tried to assassinate Reagan. Reagan made a quick recovery and his popularity soared. In 1983, he proposed constructing a missile defense system that became known as Star Wars. It didn't come to be, but his unwavering support for the arms buildup would eventually take its toll on the Soviet Union, and the commander-in-chief was victorious, taking on a smaller Marxist target, launching an invasion of the Caribbean island of Grenada.
I think that's just been arranged.
With the economy prospering again, Reagan handily won re-election in 1984. He defeated Liberal Democrat Walter Mondale in every state but one and began a more volatile second term. His economic policies, increasing defense spending while slashing taxes, allowed the budget deficit to balloon out of control. But the biggest threat to his success came in 1986. The president admitted the U.S. had secretly sold arms to Iran and diverted some of the money to the Contra rebels in Nicaragua. His approval rating dropped, and the scandal will leave a permanent mark on his legacy. The Reagan years would end on a high note, though.
For there can be no greater good than the quest for peace, and no finer purpose than the preservation of freedom.
Reagan eventually extended an olive branch to the new Democratic-minded leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev. After a series of summit meetings, the two agreed to eliminate intermediate-range missiles in Europe, setting the stage for the fall of the Iron Curtain a few years later. In 1988, Reagan helped his Vice President George Bush win the White House. He then retired to his beloved California ranch, emerging from time to campaign for fellow Republicans. In 1994, he told the country he was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. The degenerative illness would strip the former president of his memory and eventually his life, but not before he transformed his party and politics in a way the nation will never forget. Sandra Endo, New York 1.
Okay, again, if you're just joining us, we have word now confirmed by friends in the Reagan family that President Ronald Reagan is dead. Again, we're getting this word from our Associated Press wires, and several other broadcast reports are confirming this.